Welcome back to Footy Park for the second half of the Crows' internal trial. Red and blue are the sides, albeit they've been muddled up a little bit, Bix. We've got some news coming through that there's been some changes. They're getting some different looks, primarily in the forward lines.
So Dusty Fogarty and Billy Frampton started on the blue side, which were dominant. They've kicked 9 goals in the first half to the red side's 4. They've just done a double change. So Fogarty, Frampton go to red, and Himmelberg and Lynch go to blue. So I guess what you're effectively saying is there's a couple of spots up for grabs there, 2 spots potentially with 4 players vying for it. So Himmelberg and Lynch, with a bit better service from the blue team, they'll get an opportunity to show what they can do.
Would you explain what's happening here, Bix, in the near part of the picture? Riley Thilthorpe lining up on a wing opposed to Chase Jones.
That's interesting. I guess I wouldn't have expected that as I was driving down West Lakes Boulevard this afternoon, but I guess it talks to his ability to cover the ground. He's an amazing athlete for someone who is 200 centimetres and has been very impressive with that sort of physical side of his game.
The blue side with the larger number of, you'd expect Crows' first-choice players kicked away to a 5-goal lead at half-time, but there have been some changes on that front. If you're just joining us, really impressive for Red in the midfield early. Berry and Pedler in the first half. And impressive too was Walker using the body and taking a big contested mark to start the second half here at Footy Park.
Yeah, a little bit of smarts there. The umpire was on the other side of that contest, and we had a really good view. Taylor Walker might have just used his right arm to get his player out of that contest, but then was able to stick the mark. So Walker gets an opportunity. He'll be lining up for his 3rd goal, and probably been at this stage the most dangerous of all the forwards on the ground in the first half.
Made magnificent contact to one in the first quarter at this end, and on his right this time no exception. That's split the middle. And Walker kicks his 3rd. Blue 6 goals to the good now early in the second half here in the Crows' internal trial. Just repeating those that have just joined us for the second half. In the first half, what you've missed is some promising signs from a couple of recent Crows draftees, both wearing headbands. The Bash brothers, Sam Berry and Luke Pedler, they both like the physical stuff. There's something similar about the two of them, the way they go about getting the football. Pedler a bit flashier when he wheels around onto his left. Berry's tough and his tackling's a real feature. But those 2 guys taken in the 2 picks, well, Braden Cook splits them, but they were taking the picks following Riley Thilthorpe, who, as we mentioned, is lining up on the wing, looked really good in that first half. And great to see Wayne Miller as getting around too.
Yeah, and I just happened to bump into Luke Pedler's dad in there, who's talking with Brodie Smith's dad. So that's one of the great things, what we've got here today. All the parents who are able to get here are here. We've got a lot of past players and past officials here, so it's a great setup. And although we know to those, a lot of the other parents from interstate who weren't able to get here, who were hoping to get here, hopefully they've been able to tune in today and they can see their sons playing and trying to stake a claim.
O'Brien to Keys, textbook out of the middle. Chopped off by Kelly, though, deep in defence for Red. Gets it to Jordan Butts. Thilthorpe is genuinely playing as a wingman at the moment. Chase Jones picking him up. He's trying to make some ground, make himself an option. You think he's a pretty good one. He won't get there for this, though. The kick was, in fact, looking for straw and chopped off well by O'Brien. They've been doing battle all day. O'Brien kicks it up to the hot spot, looking for Walker again. Looked for his opponent and got rid of him, but couldn't quite get to the football. Butts, quick little handball, comes to Hamill. Didn't have a lot of it, Hamill, in the first half. Good use of the handball there backwards to McPherson. Now Thilthorpe gets a chance to fly at it, juggles it and gets it. He's paid a mark.
Oh, come off his head as well.
Wow.
He's just a few party tricks.
If you watched him play for Westies last year, he takes marks like that where he's good at the first juggle. Because he's so big and long, he'll get to it after a couple of attempts. So that's not unusual for him to gather it in that way. Here's Berry going in hard, dispossessed by Laird. Gets it to Lynch on his right, kicks it up inside forward 50 now. It's fished it away. Coming through was Keys, couldn't get the football. That's good right. Crumbing work done by Jimmy Rowe. Now O'Brien, kick up towards the hot spot. Bodies go flying. It's not going to quite dribble out of bounds. Butts will have it, and I think that's what he wants to have happen, and he does. That right-hand forward pocket. Willing.
Yeah, it was. It was a willing contest there, wasn't it? And we love that. And that just shows that players are really keen to put their best foot forward. This is a real opportunity. There's a number of spots that are certainly up for grabs.
Hamill and Rowe, actually, Bix, I've just noticed, have made this. It looks like it wasn't just for this purpose of this stoppage. It was Brown that picked up Rowe in the early going. So Will Hamill's having a look at him now.
Okay. And for those that just tuned in, bit of a breeze blowing towards the end that Blue are going. We've seen Kieran Strawn get a free kick there for a ruck infringement. Taylor Walker been taking most of the ruck work in the forward half for the Blue team.
Strawn up towards the Frampton direction. Kick 2. Both on or after the siren in each of the first quarters in the first half.
Yeah, doing
Big Billy Frampton.
Best work late in the quarter. Just he's flipped over now. He's in the red, so might find it a little bit more difficult.
Been picked up by Matthew Walton from Flagstaff Hill. He looks like he's giving up about a foot, Mix.
You might like that matchup.
Yeah. He certainly calling with vigour. Here comes Pedler on his left, gets it to O'Connor. This is this young Reds midfield that has made really fun to watch, actually. They haven't been overawed. Because the thing you fear in a game like this is if you've got one side with the majority of your first pick midfielders, that one end of the ground won't see the footy. But these guys have contested well enough.
Oh, no, I've been really impressed with the Red team. I think Haitley's in there as well. Just saw him just got a knee to the back of the head as Ben Keys went to jump over him. So didn't really appreciate that. But he's another guy who's spent a lot of time on some of the experienced mids. So
Seedsman does well, just bodied Miller off the football, gathered it, then swung onto his right foot, kicks forward looking for Fogarty, who's switched onto the red team. McHenry does the crumbing. Is he able to keep it in? He is. On his right, launches a shot towards goal. Newchurch, who was really impressive in that second quarter, keeps it in and wins a free kick.
Yep, I thought the umpire might have just missed that. It looked like he was being held before that, but much better work from Mick Henry. A bit less finessing there, just be able to get in a good spot to win the crumb, got the ball forward. Nearly marked it, Newchurch, as we see him run around.
And makes no mistake whatsoever. Newchurch has kicked his second. He'd have three if there was a little bit of better work at the other end of the ground, but he would have been running into an open goal. Not his mistake, mind.
It was Lockie Gallant, I think
Lockie Gallant didn't quite pick him out when he should have. Tariq Newchurch is developing as something as a story here. Here's a guy, everyone knew the talent. The expectation was project, and it's a trial, yet here he is against AFL players, and he's holding his own.
Yeah, particularly in the lesser of the two teams as well. So they've had been a bit harder work for the red side, and I think everyone understands there's an opportunity. Tyson Stengel played a lot of footy last year as a small forward for Adelaide. He's, we know, for at least for the first half, and many people suggesting for the whole year, that he won't be taking his place. So there is some opportunity. So it's James Rowe, I think, is probably most people's first thought in that area. But someone like Tariq Newchurch, he's got some speed, he's a good size, and as we've seen there, clearly got some skill to match that.
Back in the middle, Strawn gets hands to it this time. O'Brien waited to do the roving, couldn't quite get it cleanly. Strawn actually gets it at the second go. Pedler now wins it out of the middle to Haitley on his right. Kicks it up towards Frampton. He's wrestling at the top of the square underneath it. Couldn't quite take the mark. McHenry first on the football. Little stabby kick. And it's a free kick. Another one's been pulled out. And it's Red coming back in this contest, Bex.
Yeah, Ned McHenry in a great spot again. Right at the feet of the Billy Frampton, I think the player was, who contested. And once again, so clean out of the middle. It was good work by Strawn. I think it was it Pedler or Berry that he got the ball to? One of the gentlemen with the headband on. Might have been Berry on this occasion. Gave it to Haitley. What you want when you're a forward is you want that one-on-one contest. And it was a long, deep entry from Haitley. Frampton couldn't quite mark it, but brought it to the front. And that's where McHenry was, and he was tackled high.
Slight angle, McHenry. He's hit the post. Just came back slightly on the wind, but inside of the post, which is a real shame. Back-to-back goals early in this second half. Could have been to Red after Walker kicked his third to start the second half. Blue bringing up the wing again, an aggressive kick out. That's been a feature of the game so far today. Miller crumbs it, Strawn's second effort. And the umpire's called holding the ball.
Yep, said he didn't, the ball didn't connect with his foot, I think. So Strawn's getting amongst it in this third quarter, getting it in quick, which we've seen a bit of a feature for both
Frampton
teams.
Takes a contested mark off a low, piercing ball from Strawn, 60 metres from goal, and Frampton will line up for what could be his third, and just 15, 20 metres out, almost directly in front, Biggs.
Staking a claim, isn't he? If you think about the players he's competing with, Himmelberg's one who had probably the better of, if you think about last year's performance, Himmelberg had some really good games late in the year. So he's probably, most would have thought, been the first choice in that, as that big tall in the front half. But lining up for 3 goals has been impressive from Frampton.
On his right, a little bit easier angle than what McHenry just had. He makes no mistake. So it's 2 straight goals to the Reds following the Walker goal to start the second half. They've narrowed the margin by 1 goal. It was 5 at half-time. It'll be 4 goals the margin now.
Yeah, and I think one of the features we've noticed today is there's been a bit of urgency from Adelaide to get the ball moving quickly. We've seen it across half-back. They tried to come back through the middle of the ground and get it into their forward half really quickly, and that one there. So the big fella Strawn gets a free kick for holding the ball. He just gets back really quickly. He's just trying to get it in there as quick as he can before the opposition can flood all their players back. And didn't come off the boot perfectly, but it creates a little bit of chaos. Frampton read it better off the boot, finds himself in front and takes a chest mark.
Strawn and O'Brien rucked all day, largely, and warm conditions. Clouds just come across, so the heat's just come out of the sun momentarily. Good hands from Strawn, gets to Seedsman. Dummies around a couple, including Millerer. The second attempt managed to get enough of a tackle in to affect that kick inside forward 50. Davis wins it out. Gets it to Jones, back to Davis, playing a little bit of defence. Noted earlier, we haven't seen a lot of that previously from him. That's where he's been lining up today. And that kick falls short of the target, Himmelberg, and Butts just sees it out.
Once again, the Reds doing some really good stuff out of the middle. Strawn's actually, I think he's out sort of hustled Riley O'Brien when the ball's hit the ground a couple of times. Strawn's been the one that's been able to get at it and get involved better. So that's interesting because that's generally O'Brien's strength. And as we say that, he gets his hand on it and knocks it forward.
He did. Got it towards Schonberg. It was on Pedler, who followed up with an effort and tackled Keys. Laird smothered. Pedler goes up again. In goes Haitley. On the bottom of the pack, Schonberg. Hasn't had a lot of the football today, Schonberg. McPherson wins it really well. That was strong. Man down at the moment, just Tom Lynch just gathered himself. Might have worn one in the mush. Haitley now. McPherson running on with the football.
Frampton again, the target.
Yeah, certainly is. Falls short of both of them. Although he gathers it this time, the fist went directly to his advantage and he speared a kick in. That's a magnificent leg. Frampton's set up a goal-scoring opportunity for Matty Wright. He could kick his second, Matty Wright.
Well, Tyson Goldstack staking a claim for Port Adelaide. Matty Wright maybe staking a claim. But once again, we've seen that really quick movement from half-back. It was a short kick inside, handball received, and then once you get to the halfway mark of the ground, it really is, let's see if we can kick it as long as we can and isolate our tall forward. And Frampton, impressive again, didn't win it on the first attempt, but got it on the deck.
And Matty Wright makes no mistake, kicks his second. So 3-1 in this term now for Red.
Against the Breeze?
Against the Breeze. And none of the personnel changes have really been a huge factor at this point in time. Fogarty, not one of the goal kickers?
No, maybe Frampton's the only one who's been involved
Frampton,
in a number of the plays. He's kicked one, he's brought a couple to ground, and that one there, he was the architect there. Goal assist for him, the way he sort of was able to wheel back quickly. Kept it really low, and Matty Wright, as we know, reads the ball beautifully, found himself in front and finished very well again. So I guess it's really interesting watching this ruck duel. You'll see Riley O'Brien. What we know about him is he's a real competitor. He wouldn't be happy that Strawn's probably breaking even with him and maybe just shaded him on a couple of times when the balls hit the deck. So we'll watch this and see if he can respond.
All right, back in the centre. They do need a response here, Blue, because this is getting a lot tighter than I'd imagine they would have expected it to be. Certainly the way it was heading in that first half. We'll see if there's a response. Does it start with O'Brien? No, Strawn wins it. Gets it down to Haitley, who's held up by Keys. Does well enough to get a boot on the ball. Comes to Berry. Opportunity here for Red to go deep inside 50. Bacanello has it on his left. He's just bundled off it. Comes to Schonberg. Little handball. Wants Millerer. He's got McPherson on his 6. Little kick. He wanted Himmelberg just to double back towards him, but Butts read it really well. I think you might have seen that one before from Wayne Millerer. Wasn't going to be caught full. Gets it to Mackesy on his right. Uses it well. Here's Thilthorpe out in the wing, where he's lined up in this second half. Haitley on his right, not his best kick, and it's chopped off.
Yeah, it's good work by Maxey. Mackesy gets off Walker, runs to receive that sort of change of direction. Then they get Haitley involved with a handball receive, so that sort of rebound off half back is good. Just that finish from Haitley just wasn't what they would have liked and kicked it straight to the opposition.
Davis to Sloan and Lynch, a couple of the veterans combining here. McAdam's beaten off the ball by Kelly, who gathers it in one go and sets off. His kick is chopped off, though, by Lynch. He wanted to get it further afield and won't. Might be an opportunity for Blue through Schonberg. He overkicks his target, and Butts just came off Himmelberg well. Got himself in a position just to win the football.
Yeah, a bit of frustration from Himmelberg. Himmelberg was over the back. He was goal side of his opponent. Walker was leading up, so the two forwards were working in unison, exactly what you want. Unfortunately, Schonberg kicked it into the middle, straight to the opposition, so it had to go really long or really short, not in the middle.
Latchford to Kelly, then McPherson has it now. And he'll be a bit disappointed with that, Andrew McPherson. Mind you, hasn't put much of a foot wrong today. Taylor Walker came across and smothered it. You'd expect him to play 22 this year, McPherson, wouldn't you? He's there now.
He is. He's a really steady player. As we've seen, he doesn't make too many mistakes. That was an unusual one there, and generally been really reliable and just stepped up to the increased level we saw last year.
Big slap came from O'Brien. Haitley first on the football, gets it to McPherson. Will look to clear the defensive area. Wants Gallant. doesn't get to him, comes over the back. Worrell got a fingertip on it, and then Borlace will gather it on his right foot, long inside 50. Butts fists it away from Himmelberg, and Lynch sees it out. We'll get a throw in. Right hand forward pocket for the blue side. Looking to register their second major in the second half. They've been bested by their younger counterparts early going here in the second half of this fixture.
Yeah, and Haitley's got a whole heap of footage. The players blocking for each other there. James Rowe trying to get free, as we call him. He gets his hands free.
Certainly does. Gets it to Sloan. Kicks up towards a dangerous area. There's an outnumber there at the top of the square. It's Crum really well. And Scholl will kick. He's second of the day. Really classy. Lockie Scholl, read it best. Was clean at ground level and then kicked a goal.
Yeah, just really interesting to watch that. It was right in front of us here in our commentary position. There was players working in pairs there to try and free up James Rowe. He ended up getting it on the move, even though the defenders were right on his backside. Got the hands free, got it to Sloan, kicked it to a really dangerous spot. And I think one of the areas that Adelaide haven't been great at, just weren't they weren't outmarked. That's the important thing. If a team marks it there, they can then rebound and go. So it was really important that Walker brought the ball to ground. You bring it to ground, and it creates a whole lot of pressure for opposition defences. And Scholl was right onto it, and he's found himself with 2 goals on the board now. So he's a neat player. He gets to the right spots. And I think we saw him late in the year have a couple of really good games that just got everyone excited. So
got the 3 Brownlow votes against Carlton in round 17
he
last year.
couldn't quite get the nomination for the...
Yeah, of course.
But I think he got there in the end.
Bit of a change in the ruck here. It's Frampton will go against O'Brien this time. He might have won it down, in fact. Sloan leads them to it, the second effort. Players converge on the football. Seedsman applies a tackle. It's squeezed out, though. Sloan worked the kick forward. Underneath it was Kelly. Hamill coming back on the football now. Frees the arms. Gets it to Kelly. Cleared that situation really well, the red side. Out of wing. They'll kick inside the square. There's a switching opportunity here with McHenry on the broadcast side. He's got options ahead of him. Running for him is Pedler, who's got himself into a bit of space. He'll wheel around that left, takes a bounce on his left, drives it up towards Newchurch, uses his body, appeals for a free kick. He's got the footy out in front of him. He's up against the much bigger Worrell. And the ball goes out of bounds, left-hand forward pocket.
Yeah, it's an interesting one there. I guess Darcy Fogarty would be a bit frustrated there because he'd pushed off his direct opponent. He created about a metre or two of separation as, I think it was Pedler, turned onto his left foot. Could have looked and hit him probably a 15 to 25 metre pass, high probability, but decided to hold onto it and go for Newchurch. I reckon you aim for your key forward and see if you can't hit him.
O'Brien took it assertively out of the ruck, but just spliced it off the side of the boot. Will go out of bounds on the full. McHenry takes it quickly to McPherson. He saw him kick a booming point in that first quarter. This time he kicks it up towards the edge of the square. Davis read it best. Takes a good mark in defence.
Yeah, he's an interesting player, Davis. Like I said, recast in defence today. He's taken, that's an intercept mark there. He's been neat on another couple of occasions. Found it hard work to try and break in. I think he might have played one game against Geelong as a high half forward. So, yeah, maybe a different opportunity for him.
Borley shrugged the tackle. It was almost a collision there involving Mackesy. Meant that suddenly blew at the overlap, and Tom Lynch has it 40 metres out, directly in front. Player just down on his haunches at the moment as Lynch uses it well. McAdam takes a mark. Provided one of the real highlights of the day earlier, McAdam. Just in front of us here, Bix. He had a set and geez, he rose up and took it well.
He stood on top of the pack. It was like he was standing on top of a ladder. It was outstanding. And the play went on and Adelaide scored a goal. So, and I think the challenge for McAdam is to be able to be more consistent throughout the whole game. As we saw, I think it was the first quarter, he was outstanding and then goes missing 4 patches in the second, and then he's just bobbed up again and he's just let himself down with that kicking, which we saw went around 50% in front of goal last year. And
the technique looks good.
Yeah, particularly set shots like that. You've really got to make the opposition pay after doing all the hard work.
Brodie Smith will bring it back into play. One of the seasoned defenders that started for the Reds in this game. It was what felt like the first team defensive back line on the Red side against the what was the likely first team forward line on blue. There's been some changes made at half-time, as we mentioned. Fogarty and Frampton have switched sides. Keys won the football to Laird. Opportunity for blue just to go back and gather themselves. Miller gets it. One of the real promising signs today is the way he's gotten across the ground. Won the football. Done some Wayne Miller-style things. Shrugged tackles. Taken on some difficult kicks.
Couple of fend-offs.
Lockie Murphy on his left. Kicks long inside 50. McAdam wanted to fly again. But underneath it, Himmelberg held strong, read it best, and at the second grab takes a mark.
It's a mixed bag, isn't it, sometimes with Shane McAdam. But what it does, when you're a defender, boy, when he's running at the footy, you're really worried about him. And so that can often be the case where there's a whole lot of eyes, and if there's a spare defender, they're worried about McAdam not jumping on top of the back. And then what happens is the big tall players like Himmelberg, they've got their eye on the ball and they're able to take some marks. So this is his first opportunity in this third quarter. He's changed teams from the Reds to the Blues to make an impact on the scoreboard.
On his right, he's just pulled it to the near side. The thing you like to see, and the thing the Crows side struggled with out at times last year, guys like McAdam and Miller, they allow you not to have to play perfect football to score a goal.
Yep.
I mean, you can play perfectly and move it as you absolutely want to from end to end, and that's how the side will endeavour to play. But if the kick goes overhead, McAdam gives you a chance at flying at it. Wayne Miller can fend someone off if the kick team wasn't perfect and take on a kick that perhaps others couldn't. And they're great to watch when they're at full flight as well.
And the other thing is with those guys as well is they get people through the gate because you want to
absolutely.
see. I remember it might have been Miller, or it might have been against the Melbourne Footy Club across half back where he spun around one, he fended off another, then he did a little shimmy and came out and then hit someone through the middle of the ground. They're the things that you remember when you're walking out, particularly when you see some stuff from some of the younger players and new players. It does give you that sort of that hope and enthusiasm as they develop and become more consistent. You'll see that more regularly. Taylor Walker not happy there, giving away a couple of free kicks, doing the ruck work in the front half. So
jeez, he reacted like it might have been the qualifying final. The way the umpire suggested he may have infringed in the ruck contest.
Yeah, so there's Lockie Murphy with that intercept play from the small forward, and that's what he has to be able to create multiple times during the game, putting pressure on, not letting the opposition to sort of take it out of their defence with ease.
Will get thrown in. It'll be Walker and Frampton again in the ruck to do battle, as you mentioned earlier. Walker's done predominantly most of the ruck work in the forward line.
That was going
soccer
through.
Kick. Jeez, yeah, it was. It was just taken over the last moment by Luke Brown. He always looks cool. You don't get a sense of how desperate the situation is by looking at the demeanour of Luke Brown. He just knew he was going to be able to chop that off.
Got a bit of a step out of his sort of normal, sort of staid manner. He's got the bright pink boots on. It's not sort of something you expect from Luke Brown, is it? He's more your black, like Rory Sloane. But anyway, he's showing a bit of his personality.
Looking to develop a little bit of flair, perhaps, you think, Bix, in his
Later
game
on.
this year. Maybe we'll see something out of the box from Luke Brown. Red controlling the ball on that outer wing side. Oh no, the ball mark was fumbled in the end. I think it's O'Connor who got there first.
I think there might have just been a fingertip on it. There was a blue player going back, might have just got a finger on it. Just threw O'Connor out and he just wasn't able to complete the mark.
Ball will be thrown on that outer side. The umpires officiating today, all official umpires. So we haven't had yet any controversy with regard to behaviour on the mark yet, Bix, and we figured that might be one of the big learnings of the pre-season this year. But certainly today, I haven't seen any evidence that much has changed on that front.
Yeah, I don't think there hasn't been any real controversy at all so far. I think the Crows have had a reasonable run with the umps. haven't said that too often.
We haven't complained too much about them today.
Anyway.
Out in that outer wing side. Crows red side looking to go inside 50. One-handed attempt wasn't a great one. It means Newchurch suddenly has an opportunity. He gathers it at the second go. Feeds an attacking handball. Now the Crows through Seedsman will look for a scoring opportunity, and a really terrific mark by Worrell.
Yeah.
Chopped it off in front of McHenry. There's a role for Worrell at AFL level, you think, just with his athleticism and his ability to get involved in the game, even playing as one of the key defenders today.
He's that hybrid defender, isn't he? He's a big guy with good mobility, so he can play on some of the smalls if you need him to, but at the same time, he's got that size to be able to stand on some of the tools if he has to be utilised in that fashion as well. So he just needs to continue to develop. His foot skills are quite good, and he's just got to keep working on the intercept marking. They're the players that you need to be able to generate those attacking plays for you.
Lynch wanted keys, and before Berry got involved, and from the stoppage, it comes to Laird, and Sloane on his right will look to drive Blue inside 50, looking for Walker again. Mackesy gets a really good fist to it. Did well there, Mackesy. Will Hamill first on the football, tackled by McAdam. Oh, that was...
It was like a wrestling move, wasn't it?
It was. The finishing move there. The umpire said, no, it's a football game, not a wrestling match, and towards Will Hamill, the free kick. Oh, terrific follow-up work from McAdam on the mark.
And again,
tremendous by McAdam, is really imposing himself. Schomburg kicks it to a 2-in-1 situation, and floating back will be McPherson. Carries himself with poise, McPherson, coming out of defence now. Gets Thilthorpe, wingman Riley Thilthorpe, as we all expected this year, Bix.
Yeah, not so much. But anyway, what he is showing is his versatility, and if he can play full forward, you can play ruck, you can play wing. That means you can probably play most positions on the ground. But what about McAdam a couple of minutes ago? That was outstanding. Full diving smother, bounced straight back to his feet, got up and laid the tackle as well. That was, I guess, once again, it's what else he brings as well in terms of his speed to get at the opposition, which is great. And he just needs to be able to get that fitness base so he can reproduce that, multiple times in a quarter and sort of not have to blow out the candles now for the next 5 minutes before his next effort.
Bit of clean work from O'Connor a moment ago, but he was smothered. What are you pointing out there, Bix? What have you seen?
Just watching McAdam there. He's the deepest forward with the hands on the haunches, so he's just sucking the big ones in. So that's the continued development that he has to have. He's got to build that base so that he can contribute.
Strawn back in the ruck, and off their stoppage, Thilthorpe is the first of the football, picks it up. It's still in a contested situation. Keys just worked his way through traffic really nicely. Davis, I haven't minded Davis playing an offensive role. Gets it to Sloan on attacking 50 for Blue. Back to Keys, who's run on really well. Tries to shrug a tackle. Gets it to Murphy on his left. Wanted Schonberg. Smothered away. And we'll get a bounce 25 metres out from goal.
Yeah.
Interesting as the three-quarter time siren goes, haven't seen Thilthorpe actually do any ruck work.